It's supposed to pour like literally all day today, so I went out real quick in the middle of like a calm, not pouring rain storm. So hopefully it stays like this so I can film this video and get it uploaded today. But yeah. Hey guys, Carolyn here. Today I'm going to be doing my review of episode 6 of Produce X101. Before we start, I want to say that I released my top 11 featuring a couple of other boys I'm keeping an eye on, like ranking video earlier this week. Thank you for all the love on that video, by the way. I was not expecting that many people to watch it. I thought like 2 people would watch it. But anyways, if you haven't seen it, I'll go ahead and link it in the cards up above right now and also in the description box, as well as my playlist for the previous 5 episodes, or I've done 4 videos, but the previous me talking about the 5 episodes video, like playlist, if you haven't seen any of those videos and you want to check those out. Anyways, let's go ahead and get started with episode 6 because I'm actually pretty satisfied with this episode. So this is the second round, the second like set of performances before our second elimination, which is probably going to be in about 2 episodes, I'm guessing. And I'll at the end get into what I think they're going to do with the rest of the time next episode, because I think there's only like 4 performances left, maybe. But anyways, so for this round, in season 2, 1 through 35 survived, but this season only 1 through 30 are going to survive. There are a lot of boys I really like who are kind of right at the edge there, so I'm a little nervous, or like below that, or yeah, so I'm a little nervous about this elimination. I think it's definitely going to hurt me a lot more than the first elimination, because first elimination I had a couple boys that I was like, oh yeah, like, you know, I want you to stay, but I wasn't that connected to you. Now I'm like really invested in people, so I feel like this elimination is going to hurt. This of course is the position evaluation where they have to choose what position they would want in a final group: rapper, vocalist, or dancer, and they have to perform in teams. This time there's also an X, which I personally love this new position. So they're either in the rap dance group or they're in the vocal dance group. And people in each position, if they're in the vocal group, they have to arrange the song themselves. If they're in the rap group, they have to write their own lyrics. And if they're in the dance group, they have to choreograph the song. If they're in the rap and dance group, the X group, they have to write their own lyrics and choreograph. If they're in the vocal X dance group, they have to arrange the song and also do the choreography. This is exciting because this is a lot more like an actual performance, because I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I feel like these performances are a little boring because they're only focused on one aspect of the stage, when really, if you're an idol, you need to focus on multiple aspects of a stage. So I think this is going to be really interesting to see how this turns out. The vocal songs are Me After You, Twit, To My Youth, and Day by Day. The rap groups are Yes or No and Barcode. The dance groups are Believer, Finesse, and Swallow. And then position X, the songs they chose are Attention for the vocal dance group and Turtle Ship for the rap dance group. If you choose rap, dance, or vocal, if you choose one of those 3 positions that have existed previously, you are ranked individually within your groups. They don't reveal the points this time, because whoever gets the most points from each position gets an extra 100,000 votes. If you choose the new position, you get twice the amount of votes that you received, and the top trainee gets 200 times his votes. So the top guy in each of the X groups. So there's 2 people who will get 200 times his votes, and first place gets 200,000 extra votes. This, you could see, is very tempting, but as Yesung was explaining, if it's a lot to do 2 things as opposed to just focusing on one with the amount of time they give them. So as we saw, I'll talk about later, in one of the X teams, it's a lot more work and it can really impact your performance. Whereas if you were just focusing on the choreography, or if you were just focusing on writing your rap lyrics, or if you were just focusing on singing the song correctly, then you might be able to get a lot more votes, as opposed to if you were in this group and you don't do a good job and you don't get that many votes. So the way that they chose votes was they started with Johan, who is in first place currently, and we went all the way down to number 60. The 59th and the 60th boy got put in a rap team, and they're both vocalists, so that was kind of like oh, what's gonna happen? But I really did like how when they were put into that group automatically. The other two members in that group are really good rappers, Seungyeon and Daehyun, and they were both like, we're gonna teach you everything you need to know, we're gonna do a great performance, it's gonna be great. So I really like that. Instead of them being like, oh, I'm like really worried about this, they were kind of like, we're gonna make it happen, like it's gonna work. So that was really good to see, like right off the bat for that team. So then we went to the like pre-performances, kind of like, oh, we're just meeting in our groups kind of thing. So we started with the Finesse team, which is one of the dance position teams, and Jeon became the center because he had experience choreographing. He's my favorite brand new boy, so I was very excited to see him become the center, or the leader rather. He's not the center. Hangyo became the center, who is someone that when I posted my top 11 video, everyone was like, I love Hangyo, and I was like, I have no idea who that is. So I was like, oh, Hangyo, okay, we gotta keep an eye on him and see how he does. What happened though was Wonjin also has experience choreographing and like doing dances, so he kind of went off on his own side, and Jeon kind of went off on his own side, and they both started thinking of ideas. And then because Jeon was the leader, he kind of started teaching everyone his moves without incorporating any of Wonjin's stuff, and then Wonjin got really upset and kind of pouted around for a little bit. I know that sounds really harsh, but it's like the most annoying thing to me when you are on produce. Like if the leader thinks that this is going to be the best idea, yeah, it does stink that he like didn't take any of his ideas right off the bat. I thought that was kind of annoying, but also you just like wasting so much time. You don't have that much time. There's no time to pout about everything. And I think Jeon even said at one point, he was like, we can't be like this already, like we can't be like having an argument already, like we don't have that much time to get this stage ready to perform. Yeah, that is where that kind of left off before this was one of the performances of this episode, so we'll talk about them again later. Tweets, the only thing they really showed was Junghwan becoming the center and also the leader. That was the only thing I wrote down from that, so I guess nothing else was very significant to me. Me After You team was definitely the team I was most excited for because it has, first of all, a very popular song amongst the trainees. I think it's a really pretty song. It also has three of my favorite boys in it, Seungwoo from Plan A, Yohan, and also Chajuno from Woolham. So like they were all in Boss together, and I really like when trainees who were in a group together end up in another group together, because you can tell they're comfortable with each other and they know each other's weaknesses and strengths already. So I feel like those groups and those people always work super well together when that happens. So Seungwoo became the leader, and then he also became the center. Everyone wanted Seungwoo on their team, which is fine because he's like a multi-talented king. He's a good rapper, he's a good vocalist, he's a good dancer, he's a good leader. So he's just basically the best ever. They were a really fun group to watch like practice and stuff. So then we did the Attention team. Attention is one of the X groups. It's the vocal X group. So a lot of kids joined the X group to save their ranks because it was tempting, all of those votes. If you do really well, honestly, if you're like in 40th place and the cutoff is 1 through 30, you don't really have anything to lose. That made it really hard because the stakes were so high, because this kind of stage could either like make or break you. If you don't do a good job, like that is it, like you are over. So I think this group spent an obnoxiously long amount of time trying to figure out who their center was, which I guess is fair. And this guy Seungyeon became the center, and that lasted about 20 seconds. The next shot was literally them showing Mahiro from YG being the center, and that was where that edit ended. So we didn't get that story at that point. We got it later in the episode, but then the performances start. So the first group that performed was Twit, which is a song by Hwasa. I like don't talk about Mamamoo that much, but basically I either like their songs or I like really don't like their songs. Twit is one of those songs that when Hwasa released it, I listened to it and was like, this is an okay song. I don't like love it, which, you know, I'm allowed to have my own opinion. But I will say, I enjoyed this remix, this like rearrangement of it a lot. The trainers for this group were super impressed with their practices. They like didn't really get any negative feedback, which was pretty exciting. Hyup got a compliment on his voice. He was somebody else that a lot of people commented. They were like, oh, and on my video, and they were like, you need to check out Hyup, he's really good. He did great in this song. So Hyup got a compliment for his voice going super well. The team had a lot of fun together practicing. It was one of those things that I think it was 2 episodes ago, I talked about, or one episode, I don't know, where I talked about how not every storyline needs to be super dramatic. Like, you can show the trainees having a good time with each other, and that's okay. So this was one of those stories where it was like, nothing really happened. We had a great time practicing together. We worked really hard. We're really excited about our performance. Let's show you what we got. The performance was really good. I think the people who impressed me the most in this were Hyup. There's one other boy. I'll write his name. And then Eun was in this group. He's a brand new boy, and he is somebody who I've said before I think is like super overrated and not the most talented brand new boy of the season, and I'm not sure why everyone loves him. He really impressed me in this performance. This is the first time all season that I've looked at him and been like, oh my gosh, like, maybe you do deserve to be in the top 10. Maybe you do deserve to be there. So he wasn't the one who impressed me the most in this performance, but I do remember looking at him and being like, oh, that's Eun. Oh my gosh, like, he's doing a really good job. So Eun is the person who placed first in this performance. Not really a surprise because it was audience voting and he's very popular. So the next group to perform was Attention. Whoever was the center of the X group had to both be a really good dancer and a really solid vocalist, and it's the same for the rap group. So whoever was in the center had to be a very good dancer and also a very good vocalist, and the center they chose for Attention, Seunghyun, was Tony's in that group too, and he said, he was like, he's not the strongest vocalist. I'm not sure why he got voted as the center, but you know, like, but he was having a lot of trouble with the vocal parts of the song. Tony and Mahiro were both very much complimented by the trainers, so they decided to change the center to one of them. Mahiro ended up winning the vote for that, so he became the center. The entire team was stressed about the choreography. They were stressed about the vocals. They were stressed about literally everything. Like, you could tell that it was definitely a more difficult performance to prepare for because there was so much they needed to do in such a short amount of time. And there was a member, Ki-chan, who got the choreography wrong a lot, and he was struggling, and he was upset because he only had one line, so he like went off into the corner and sulked. And I'm getting really tired of trainees doing that. Like, why don't you just like do your job and like whatever you get, just like try your best? And I get that the stakes are really high for this, but you can't just sit there and complain for 3 days. Like, that's not how this works. Like, you're gonna bring the whole team down, especially in an X team that had so much to do. Somebody, I don't remember who was saying this, but somebody said like, we learned the choreography on the first day and we were kind of just like tweaking it and like perfecting it the next couple of days, but Ki-chan was still getting it wrong, and it kind of like made us have to slow it down and like teach him more, which was fine. But he also, then it went to Ki-chan and he was like, I wasn't really that motivated to do this. So it was kind of, that was kind of annoying. The members who impressed me the most in this performance were Seunghyun, Moon Hyunbin, and Mahiro. I literally watched this performance. I watched the performances before I watched the actual episode. I remember watching this performance and being like, Mahiro just saved himself this season. Like, did so well. I was really expecting him to rank high when the votes came down to it. And there were 7 boys in this group, and he ranked 7th. And I was so shocked when I saw that, because I remember watching this performance and being like, he did so good as the center. He did so good. And I'm wondering if Korea's or YG's current situation, if it's really affecting the boys from YG. They haven't been that popular this season anyways, but now I'm kind of like, he did a good job. Why did nobody vote for him? He was one of the most memorable people from the stage for me, but I'm really surprised he got 7th. So I'm really wondering if YG's current situation is really affecting everybody under YG Entertainment, including the boys on Produce. That's just my 2 cents on that. It might not have anything to do with that, but there weren't that many popular trainees in this group. The next group was Tell Me Yes or No, which is one of the rap groups, and I don't really like this song either, so I was like not excited about this performance. So they did the practice in front of Cheetah, and Daehyun is someone who's been praised like so highly this entire season, and he did not get any compliments from Cheetah. She was kind of like, I'm not really that impressed with any of the boys in this group. Remember, this is the group that has the 59th and the 60th boys in it. The performance turned out okay, I think. Like I said, I don't like this song, so it was really hard for me to like really get into the performance because it's just not a song I enjoy. Yeah, I think Seunghyun did the best in this performance. Daehyun got first. Again, he's a really popular member, but I think Seunghyun did a really good job. I also did not know that he was on Show Me the Money, and you can really tell he was on Show Me the Money. I think his rap performance was super like interesting, and I don't know, I really enjoyed his parts the most in this song. Then we did the Finesse team. It's one of the dance teams. Xion and Wonjin had that misunderstanding thing. That's where we left off with them. None of his ideas were used, and then they brought Wonjin back in and they were like, you guys need to talk it out, and they talked it out. And the performance ended up being pretty good. My only complaint, this is an annoying complaint, but my only complaint with this whole edit of this entire team, there was 0 screen time for anyone who wasn't Hyungjun, Wonjin, and Xion. Like, nobody else really got screen time. There were 2 Woollim boys in this performance who did not get, like, any recognition at all. 2 Starship boys and 2 Woollim boys were in this group. They went up on stage and Lee Dong-wook was like, Hyungjun and Wonjin, like, you're in the same team, but you're kind of against each other, like, say something to each other. And there was no acknowledgement of also there being 2 Woollim boys. I got this curious cat the other day that was like from someone who said, somebody else said that Woollim paid Mnet for all this screen time, and I just want to, like, no. First of all, Woollim would never pay anyone to do anything positive for their groups, just saying. Second of all, no, because like there were 2 Woollim boys in this group who got very minimal screen time. Dongyun's part was like a very big part, and it like was not really given the best camera work. It was kind of like, oh, here he is, like, yeah, there's that part. And I don't know, I just feel like the editing for like Hyungjun's part was different, and it like, it's a, like I said, a very annoying thing for me to do, but I feel like Changwook and Dongyun should have gotten some more light. There was also another boy in that group whose name I cannot remember currently, but he like didn't really get screen time either. Hangul is the person who got first, which was super exciting. Then the Me Before You team was the last team of this episode. So this was like where I could maybe see people like saying things about Woollim paying for screen time, and I'll tell you why. So Cha Juno, someone who had like 2.5 lines in Boss, he had like about 30 seconds of screen time because he sang kind of quietly, and that was like his screen time for that Boss performance. The Boss performance was very focused on Johan learning how to rap, the entire editing of that, which is fine. Like, I get that. That was a very big storyline. A vocalist who's never rapped before, like, here you go, like, here's your part in Boss that's all rapping. So I get that. I mean, there's only so much time in these episodes. I don't really want to watch any more than 2.5 hours of Mnet's editing every week anyways. So anyways, this whole performance focused on Cha Juno, and he was criticized for singing quietly in the Boss performance, and then he was criticized again by the same trainer for singing quietly in this song, and she was like, you bring the whole mood of the song down, you make it like not emotional at all, and you like basically ruin the song, is what she said to him. And she was like, you have no emotion, like you literally just stand there like a robot. He was like, before I've only ever really been with the 5 other Woollim boys, like the 5 other trainees, which I thought was really cute, because I know Minso hasn't been with them for very long, but the other boys have all been there for about a year. So even though they're all pretty new trainees, and they definitely were added right after Golden Child debuted, I think that Woollim really likes to keep the same boys in the same group as long as possible, because you can tell that all the Woollim boys, like, I watched this video on Twitter yesterday of like Dongyun like hugging all of the boys during the first elimination and being like they're really close, like, you know. And that's why I'm sad again that Jungkook and Dongyun didn't really get any screen time, because I think there would have been some really cute like interaction, bromance there. Like, they're from the same company, like they know each other. So Cha Juno was saying, I've only ever been with the same like 5 boys basically. I am not very good at talking to new people. I'm very shy, which if you're going to be an idol, I do say that like you probably should get over that, but also I'm exactly that way, so I really relate to. I'm not used to being in like different teams every single week and being with new people every single week, which I think it was good that Johan and Singwoo were both in the Boss group and in this group, so Cha Juno was with the same 2 people at least. And so he started like practicing singing louder, and Johan came in and practiced with him, and Johan did this whole like little segment where he was like, we've gotten really close, like he's really shy, but we've been really good friends since the beginning, and I think that you guys should give him a chance, and like he is very talented and he hasn't really had a chance to show that yet. Yeah. And then they had Singwoo singing, he was the main vocalist, and the trainers were all like, your voice is beautiful, and I agree. The performance was so good. I am not a huge fan of ballads, but I think this might have been my favorite performance of the entire episode, because Sungwoo sounded amazing. Johan is a vocalist. I really liked his vocals on his audition like video where he did that 7 song, and to be honest, I found his rapping boss to be a little cringy. I thought it was really good for what it was, but I think it was a little cringy. I don't know. But I loved his voice in this song. I think he did great. I think the part where the music turns off, the little acapella part, was so freaking good. Chajuno sang, and he hasn't really had a chance to sing, and everyone's been calling him just a visual, but his voice was so good and so stable, and I like was so impressed. And Seungwoo sounded so good, and the other two boys in this team, I didn't really talk about them very much, but there's that other boy from Tony's company. He did fantastic in this song, and I think Hyunbin is the 5th member of that group. He did really well. I really enjoyed this entire performance. I thought it was super stable, and I think this has a very good shot of being, in my opinion, the top vocal group, because it was just like a flawless performance. Seungwoo ranked 1st in this, which was amazing. So the ranking was going by, and then we got to number 2, which was Juno, which was so exciting. And it was down to Johan and Seungwoo was like, I'm gonna get 5th place. Like, there's no way that I'm going to like do better than Johan. Johan is super popular. But Seungwoo ranked 1st, and if he had not ranked 1st for this performance, I was ready to throw this whole season away, because like Johan was really good, but you cannot deny that Seungwoo sounded so good in that song, and that, anyways, I'm so happy he ranked 1st. Johan ranking 5th confused me a little bit. I'm surprised that he ranked below Hyunbin and also the guy from Tony's company, whose name I can never pronounce correctly. I'm surprised he ranked below them considering his popularity, but also Johan is going to be okay without those extra 100,000 votes. He'll be fine, but Seungwoo is like one of the lower ranked trainees, which doesn't make any sense to me at all, but I'm really happy that he ranked 1st in this performance. I think he really could use those 100,000 votes. I don't know if he'll get them considering the popularity of members in the other vocal teams, but I'm really hoping that he can at least get a lot of votes and a lot of positive attention from this performance. That being said, I think next episode is going to be the rest of the performances, and I think we're also going to start getting the concept songs, which are the original songs. I think they're going to show us all of those and then do the elimination next episode, because this is not going to take like these next like 4 or 5 performances are not going to take an entire 2 hours. So I think we're going to get a little bit of the like members getting split into groups for the original songs, which I'm so excited to hear those. It's always my favorite stage. Yeah, so I'm excited for that episode. Produce drives me crazy, but I was thinking about this yesterday. At the end of every episode, I'm always so sad that it's only Saturday and I have to wait a whole nother week to watch Produce, because I don't know, I just get really addicted. So yeah, let me know down below what your favorite performance was from this episode. If there are any trainees that kind of stuck out to you that you previously like were not that impressed with, like me for Eunseong, I thought he was really good, and Hyup really impressed me. I feel like there was one other boy. Oh, Moon Hyunbin really impressed me. I really liked him in this performance. And Seungyeon from the Yes or No group, he really impressed me too. So I'm kind of thinking about like doing a second top 11 after the second elimination, because I'm starting to learn a lot more boys, which makes me so happy that I'm learning more boys. But yeah, thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you guys next week with another Produce review. Bye!